So let's have a lesson on this piece now. Follow the lesson for free, but if you're interested, you can pick up the free PDF sheet music. There's a link for that in the description. There's no sign up required, you just download the free PDF. This is part of a collection of easy works I'm putting together as a supplement to my Volume 1 and Volume 2 classical guitar method. So just some extra pieces to play while you're working on the method books. For this particular piece, I would recommend playing this piece either during or after my Volume 2 method book. A couple of little things in it, right hand fingering concepts to discuss and some second position playing. So yeah, during or after my second volume would allow you to enjoy the piece with very little preparation. So it's originally for lute in lute tablature, and I've put it into notation for you, and just in regular guitar tuning, since this is a supplement to my beginner method books. The piece has a really nice dance kind of quality to it, but also a very strong melody, so it's a really great one to add to your repertoire. So lots of things to discuss in this piece, some left hand fingering, some right hand fingering, but first, the most important thing about this piece, or the two most important things, are the melodic aspects, so the melody, and also the rhythm of the work. So in 6/8 time, really you just want to feel 2 beats per bar. Here, 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 here. So although you could count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It really just makes the feeling of the piece is really just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, here and here. So on the first and fourth beat, and when conductors conduct 6/8, they'll often just do 2 beats, and that's how you want to feel this piece. Is not getting into the nitty gritty, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but here, da, da, here, da, da. So just a really simple feeling that simplifies the piece and gives it a nice dance flavor. Just lots of that first and fourth beat. You could also practice the melody on its own. You might even consider the melody just to be A. But nevertheless, you can practice that upper musical line and make sure that you're just shaping it the way you want, nice and smoothly, and then making sure it's prominent. So the left hand requirements are very minimal in this piece. Most of the fingering is just based on chord shapes, so like the A major chord shape, and then the D major chord shape. That's why we're using 3 on the D, even though the method book, we use 4 on D a lot, but we'll use 1 and 3. The D chord. And then in measure 5, we have second position playing. So when we play that, we're going to shift our hand to the second fret, including the thumb. So the thumb will just shift up 1 fret as well. Because, in general, we'll keep the thumb behind the second finger or around there, depending on the person and their guitar position. But when we go to second position, we just move the hand up and play as normal. So just make sure you do a clear position change. And then return. So when you return, yeah, we'll move our thumb and our whole hand down. Just up, and then continue playing. I think it's really important that beginners have very clear, or late beginners, or early intermediate players, have very, very clear position playing so that their hand isn't confused. They're playing and you're trying to have good muscle memory and accuracy, but suddenly your thumb's in a different position. We'll keep it all very much the same and then just move that hand around and play with good muscle memory and technique. So we return. Not much else to discuss about the left hand fingering. It's all very straightforward. Near the end of the piece, you do have that F sharp. So when you're going from G sharp to F sharp, some beginners sometimes feel like that's a stretch, but really just make sure your hand is aligned. If your hand is misaligned, you see, I can't even reach the string. I'm just all I did is push my finger out 1 centimeter and I can't reach that string. But if I bring that hand position in and bring that knuckle in, I can reach that string, the 5th string, the 6th string, beyond. It's all about that positioning there. If that's misaligned, you can't reach that note. If you're aligned properly, you can easily reach that note with ease. So just make sure that when you work on that part, it's a good opportunity to check your alignment. Now, in terms of the right hand fingering, because this is a piece that is more on the late beginner level, but like method book beginner level, I wouldn't worry too much about repeating fingers after the dotted eighth notes, after the long note values. I'll show you some fingering schemes that you can consider, but because of the chords in this piece and the melodic material, you're going to repeat fingers sometimes, so don't be too picky about it. I would just make sure that when you're going from a 16th note to an 8th note, that you're always alternating your fingers, and when you have just simple melodic lines, that you're alternating your fingers. When chords appear, if you repeat a finger, that's okay. So don't get too wrapped up in that conversation. One fingering scheme for the first line, though, because of all the chords, could be starting with P, M, and A, M, I, P, M, and A, M, I, P, M, and A, M, I, M, and A, M, I, alternate through there, M, I, P, M, and A. That would allow you to not repeat fingers as much. So all those little things are with M-I, and all the chords are with P, M, and A. M-I, 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 M-I. However, that actually works out pretty well, and so that would be my kind of suggestion is to work on that fingering as I've listed it in the music. But really, if you just want to play with I and M and repeat the M finger, it's fine. Those note values are fairly long. It's not supposed to be a super fast piece. So just repeating the M finger when you play the chords is not a big deal. So feel free to just play it like that. In method books, we really push alternation, especially on melodic passages, and it's very, very important. But then you can go and see a professional player play, and they're just repeating fingers. It really depends on the context of the piece and how it affects the music. In this particular example, you have some longer note values after the chords, like the chords sustain, so repeating a finger is not the end of the world. It's also just not a very difficult piece, so that's not, it's not a big deal. However, when you are playing melodic passages, like from measure 5, all that stuff, yeah, alternate your fingers as best you can. And when you approach the chords, if you want to use, M and A, great. Or if you just repeat a finger, that's okay in this particular context. Measure 9 onward, though, lots of just alternation. If you repeat a finger in there after some of the long notes, again, not a big deal, but do your best to alternate your fingers. It's one of those funny situations when you have late beginner or early intermediate works, and we want the students to alternate the fingers, but the context of the piece with all the chords sometimes could make it overly complicated. If you worked out the perfect right hand fingering where you try not to repeat a finger, you'd be micromanaging your fingering from note to note, which would make it more complicated than it really is. So that's just a little discussion on it, just to make sure that you don't, fixate on it or anything like that. Depends. Sometimes people just don't mind repeating fingers. Other times people have heard me say alternate your fingers and they get very focused on it, which is great, which is a very healthy thing to do, except in some situations it's just acceptable to repeat. So I hope you enjoyed that piece. It's a nice little Renaissance piece, not too difficult, nice dance feel and melodic quality. So it's a great one to add to the collection.